All right, hello, and welcome to the Go-To training session where I'm going to be talking to you guys about electronic press kits. Some of you may be doing this for the excellence component for the artist management class, and because of that, what I'm going to do is basically go over the requirements of the excellence component, which should give you a pretty good template of what's kind of expected and what you would see in an EPK, an electronic press kit. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is I actually have a lecture that I do on campus um, that specifically pertains to the fine points of EPKs, some pet peeves, and some things that I've kind of asked some industry friends, what they like to see, what they don't like to see in EPKs. I'm going to relay that information to you so that you kind of have a better idea and understanding of what's expected and ways that you can maybe stand apart from the huge crowd of people that send these things out all over the place. So as you can see here, I've got the file pulled up for the excellence component. Um, for again, this is basically a template that you're going to be following. So um, the objectives here, you want to effectively highlight the artist's strengths, their experience, their talents in a clear and concise format. This is all about getting all the good and bad things. I'm sorry, not the bad things. All the good things about your artist. It's about getting all those things out there up front really quickly. You have to remember the people that deal with EPKs. Some of them might get numerous EPKs every day, every hour even. So they see tons of these things. So you really have to kind of get to the point with them quickly and make a strong impression. And we'll talk about some ways to do that. Another thing that's important is you're representing your artist, you're representing yourself in a very public format, and so you want to be sure that you have good communication skills, that you're able to write effectively in this media. Uh, in this form of media. I'm sorry. And that you're able to do a good job of conveying what you think is strong about your artist and their career, and make the connection for the people that are receiving the EPK, so that they can see how your artist fits into their agenda. That's a very important part of this as well. Um, then also collect relevant research and marketing information and utilize that to build a creative electronic press kit for your artist. So my goal here is that you have something that you can take out of this particular facet of the class, so that if you are working with an artist or if you are an artist yourself, you can walk away with this and use it to maybe land some potential bookings, to generate some media interest or blog interest or something like that, get some additional press, or even maybe try to attract like an agent or something along those lines. Any kind of professional representation here. So some things that are important here. I want you to use the unsigned artist that you chose for the artist management course to work with throughout the month. So the highlight here is that it needs to be an unsigned artist. If for some reason the unsigned artist that you chose in class is different than one that you might be working with in real life, and you would prefer to use the one that you're working with in real life, please contact me personally. Just write me an email or call me or something and talk to me about it, and we'll see if that's feasible. Because I do want you ultimately to have something that you can use in the real world to help you out career wise. So yeah, we'll see if we can figure that out. So some keys here: creativity is definitely encouraged. Again, I'll talk about a lot of this stuff a little bit more in depth once I kind of jump into the little lecture part. But creativity, clarity, and ease of access. Those are the three main highlights here that we're going to kind of I'm going to kind of pound into your brains here. Keep in mind any irrelevant or confusing distractions, any hindrances to maybe opening a file or getting to a website, anything that's worded in a weird way or in a confusing way. Those can cause you to have your EPK discarded entirely. So you might think that you've come up with some um, maybe cool and interesting way to describe your artist, but if it's overly confusing or you don't proofread it or something like that, that could just be the one thing that causes the people that you send this to not even read it. So you really kind of have to walk a fine line here. The components that you're going to be delivering, there's a list of 7 here that I've broken down. I feel like they're broken down pretty clearly. So, short biography of the artist. Again, all these components I'll go over with you here in a minute. Short biography of the artist, 1 to 2 paragraphs of relevant professional information. A link to high quality audio of what you feel is the artist's best song. A link to high quality video that you feel represents the artist's image and personality. I realize that not all artists that you're working with they might not necessarily have a video at this point in their career. So if they don't, that's okay. If they do, please include it. It's definitely important if if they have that. Um, and if they don't, then you might want to use this as a jumping off point for, how can we pull off making a professional looking video, which you can do surprisingly cheap, um, especially, these days with technology and even how good your cameras are on cell phones and everything, you can make this happen, I think. So it might take a little work and coordination and some help from some people, but you can make this, you can get a good quality video out there. Also, a high quality photo that creatively portrays the artist's image and is suitable to be used in various forms of media. So, check and make sure it's not going to be all pixelated if it's on a website and stuff like that. Include your professional contact information. By professional, I mean don't use your personal email if it's. I've got a good example of sweetcheeks420 at AOL.com. Anything like that that's going to cause people to be like, okay, this is just some joker, out there sending me stuff that isn't really taking this too seriously. So if you need to set up a professional email account specifically for this aspect of your career, and just make it as close to your name as possible or the artist's name or something like that. Name, phone number, email address, the artist's primary website, whatever their primary website is. Or if you have a personal website, that's fine too. Clear list of upcoming shows and or current tour schedule. That's basically, you include a list like that so that if by some chance whoever you're sending this EPK to is in a situation where they can come check your artist out, it might help your case. So, just include that information there. Try to present that clearly. That could be a bit of an eyesore to look at. So be sure that you have a clear way to present that. And then a highlight sheet. So for the highlight sheet, anything that you feel is a strong point of your artist, but I am requiring that you have at least 3 separate sources that you're pulling from here. So I give you some examples of what you can work with. So we're talking about positive quotes from the press, album reviews, anything like that, live performance reviews, but particularly from outlets that are well known and respected in your artist target market. So through the outlets that fans of your artist actually like read or look at or click on. Those are the kinds of outlets that you want represented here, because hopefully the people that you're sending EPKs to are aware of that target market, or are also, that they cater to the same target market. So they'll see that overlap and it might open some doors for you. Any awards that your artist has either won or been nominated for, even if it's like, best band in their local area, that can be an impressive thing. There's if you're from a market like Boston or New York or something like that, and even if you're winning best local band awards, there's a ton of local bands in New York and Boston. So it's not the easiest thing to stand apart from them. So that can be considered a good accomplishment. Involvement with any other reputable artists. Have they toured with someone or opened for someone as a headliner? Have they collaborated with another artist? Do they have any of those kinds of connections or experience? Any other notable accomplishments that I might be leaving out that you just feel are relevant and impressive that might open some doors for you? And then, of course, impressive social media numbers and or YouTube plays. So and be sure that you include the links to those pages. So, we all know that social media does play a big role in engaging an artist's success these days and in helping open doors for artists. So make sure that you include that. So without further ado, I'm going to kind of launch into, I'm sorry, the way that you're going to deliver this. Just have a PDF file Either it can be a PDF file or a Keynote converted to PDF, just containing all the components listed above. Be sure that you present those clearly and concisely. You can present them however you'd like, but just make sure that it is clear and concise. Feel free to use different pages within the file for each component. So, for example, you might want to put the biography on one page, the links to the audio and video on one page with the photo, and then maybe the next page is your contact information, the next page is your tour schedule, and the last page is your highlight sheet. So something along those lines is fine. Save the file with your last name and then your first name .pdf, um, and that's about it. So yeah, at this point, I'm going to jump into kind of the lecture and just talking about the finer points of this process here for you. Give me just a second to pull it up here. Okay. So yeah, EPKs. I've already talked about what that stands for. Here in this bottom corner, you see Reverb Nation, Sonic Bids, and One Sheet. These are some websites that if you've never built an EPK, they can be pretty good tools to give you a starting point and build some. They give you a template that you basically follow, and they build it for you essentially. So they can be really helpful. Sonic Bids is actually what you're required to use if you're going to play at South by Southwest, which is a huge festival in Austin, Texas that they have every year. It's growing every year. It's really big in the music industry, film, comedy, technology. It's just a big deal. So I played at South by Southwest a couple years ago. You have to go through Sonic Bids unless you're maybe you're part of like a showcase or a package or something like that. But basically, you go to Sonic Bids, you pay your membership, you build an EPK through them. The way that they decide who gets in is based on going through all the EPKs that are submitted through their site. And then Sonic Bids also offers you other opportunities where they'll email you certain opportunities of um, maybe contests, songwriting contests, performance opportunities, things of that nature that you can submit your artist's work for, or submit your EPK for, and see if you can, land those opportunities. Some of them are legit, some of them are less legit. So kind of be picky as you go through them and make sure that they seem legitimate. Don't ever pay a ton of money for a particular opportunity. I just generally speaking, I recommend against that. There are so many opportunities that are out there that you don't have to pay for. So if you're spending a bunch of money trying to win different contests and stuff, then you might actually be hurting yourself more than you're helping yourself. So, but Reverb Nation is good because if you're not familiar with it, they have a charting um, arrangement where you could show up as being maybe your artist has the number one song in alternative music in the Orlando area or something like that. So they actually keep up with plays and everything and generating traffic, and those can be valuable stats to include on your highlight sheet if you've had a song that was number one in like Central Florida for a long time. That could be something reputable that you might want to include. So that's good. And One Sheet is just a great site for building an EPK out. It connects your social media all to one place. It's got your biography and everything all in one convenient spot. So it's pretty handy. So what goes in an EPK? We already kind of talked about this, so I'll just list them out here, and then we'll go in a little bit more in depth about each thing. Let me get a quick sip of water here. Okay, so the biography. The things that are important to remember about the biography. You want to keep it short and sweet. I recommended about a paragraph or two to get the point across. There are some easy ways to keep it short and sweet, and there are some important things that you want to remember. First of all, highlight successes. What are you known for? Are you known for anything? First of all, if you're not yet, then you might have to get a little creative with this part. But if you are known for something in particular, include those things. You've played certain festivals. You have a song that's recognizable. You have a song that was featured on a TV show, or anything along those lines. So whatever it is that you feel has been successful, highlight those things and state those things, because it might be a matter of the person who is reading the CPK or looking at the CPK vaguely knows your band's name or vaguely knows your artist's name and can't figure out where. You get that out front real quick, and they make that connection and they go, oh, okay. And that causes them to continue to look at your EPK and look at it a little bit closer than maybe they would have before. Or maybe that your group has toured with an artist that they're like, hey, I like that artist. If they're opening for them, maybe I'll like this artist as well. So include that stuff there. Um, Minimize irrelevant background information. What I'm talking about here is, and this is a very common mistake that I see. I don't need to know the name of every bass player that's ever been in your band and why they quit, and the fact that they quit the band because they were dating your guitar player's sister, and then you got another one and he didn't work out because he had a job at Domino's that he couldn't get enough time away from, and so then we found our bass player that we settled on now. I don't need to know any of that stuff. Keep this, I don't need to know where you were born. I don't need, all of that information. Just tell me where you're from and get straight to the career stuff, straight to the stuff that's going to be relevant to the people in the industry that you are sending this out to. So, tell me, what kind of music, this is specifically. Don't get too flowery with that. One thing that I see all the time that is a really big pet peeve of a lot of people that I spoke with when I was building this lecture out. People tend to use this the biography as a way to show that they're good writers. They get really flowery with their language and they say things like, this artist is it sounds like if Tupac met Sly Stone in a bar and then and then had the love child of James Brown and blah blah blah, and like all these things that don't really mean anything and don't tell you anything about what the artist actually sounds like, but they think they're doing a good job because they're getting all crazy with their language. So don't get overly flowery. Don't get overly crazy with it. This isn't your place to show that you're a great creative writer. This is your place to show that you're a strong communicator, that you're able to create and portray a clear identity for the artist. This is the kind of music that we are. This is who my artist is. This is where we would fall in on radio programming, and it just straight and to the point. The next bit here, for the audio slash video, and most of the stuff will be relevant for the video as well. So, good quality MP3 or WAV is first and foremost. A lot of people that listen to EPKs obviously are music junkies. And one thing that is a big pet peeve of music junkies is low quality MP3s, low quality files that they listen to. Because I'm sure you guys have come across them before as well, where the cymbals sound real pingy. Everything's just kind of, it makes you want to grind your teeth a little bit. So it's definitely try to avoid that. Get the best quality MP3 up that you can. Remember that a lot of these people are going to be hearing your songs on laptops and or maybe crappy headphones or something like that. So it's already, you're starting at a disadvantage there. So try to just find the best quality file that you can to send forward. Now, don't. One thing that I heard from a lot of people when I was building this out was that they don't want the actual file. They don't want you to send them the actual MP3 because you're clogging up their email. It takes a while to download. Blah blah blah. So just include a really easy to access link to a streaming site that preferably has the song that you want to hear, or you want them to hear, listed first. If at the very least, if it's not listed first there, then include in your EPK which song you want them to listen to. Just keep in mind that they might not pay any attention to that. They might just go to the website and click on the first song that they see. So keep that in the back of your mind as you're moving forward. And if you can, arrange it to where the song that you want them to hear is first. Now, along those lines, something else you want to remember is that your best song might vary depending on who you're sending this EPK to. So if you're dealing with an outlet, maybe you're dealing with it, you're sending it to people who are looking for a song for their TV show, maybe some publishers or something along those lines, or I'm sorry, music supervisors, anything like that. So if that's the case, maybe you're kind of trying to tailor the song that you send them to what they're looking for specifically. So your best song might be like a loud, fast paced, upbeat, rock and roll song. But if you're sending it to music supervisors and they're looking for like a maybe kind of a ballad or like a more emotional piece that they can put in the background of a TV show to evoke some emotion here, then that's what you want to send them. In that case, regardless of what you think your best song is, send them the song that's the best fit instead. So just kind of keep that in mind too. That kind of plays into knowing your audience. Know, if the person you're sending it to, are they the kind of person that wants to hear the loud, fast, upbeat rock and roll song, or are they the kind of person that wants to hear the ballad and work mostly with bands that do slower songs, or whatever that might be. So know your audience, know who you're sending it to, know their tastes, play into that. Most important thing I can tell you here: ease of access is key. If they go to your website and it's not working, or if they can't get the file to work, or if there's a ton of pop-ups, they're coming at them, they're just going to close it and move on to the next thing. They're not going to take the time to try to figure out what the problem is and everything. So just make sure that the song that you want them to hear is the easiest thing for them to find, on the entire site. So ease of access is a huge reason why a lot of EPKs don't get looked at. So just keep that in mind. All right, now let's have a little fun and talk about the photo here. So first thing, make sure that it's suitable for various forms of media. You never know who's going to, use this picture, pick it up and run with it. You might send an EPK out to a blogger who takes the picture, puts it on their website, does a write-up about you. Next thing you know, that picture from that blog is popping up in various other blogs, and then it pops up on websites and everything. So make sure that whatever it is that you've sent them is the picture that you're, okay with, in terms of it popping up in all these other places. It may get put in a magazine, so make sure it's good quality. Make sure that it's not pixelated. Make sure that it's representing the current image of your band, which is kind of a big deal, or your artist. So make sure that it's up to date, high quality. Obviously, have someone take a good look at that. Find a photographer if you need to. Have them kind of make sure that this is a good quality thing. You wanted to grab people's attention. I'll talk a little bit more about how to do that here in a minute. But one of the biggest ways that you can grab people's attention is to clearly convey who your artist is through the picture. I'm going to show you some things that are kind of played out, some pictures that are types of pictures that people who receive EPKs probably see every single day. So the best way to grab attention of the people that you're sending this to is to kind of stand out from that crowd. So I'll go into more depth about that here in a second. So avoid overused themes and locations, which it goes into what I'm talking about here. So I'll dive into that in a minute. But most importantly, show the artist's personality and style. So what we see here, this is kind of a famous picture of Nirvana that we're looking at right now. And you can tell just by looking at it. I mean, this picture basically sums up Nirvana, does it not? It's grimy. They look like they need a bath. It's kind of grunge in a nutshell. The black and white feel, the grittiness, and everything. And I think that's why so many people. I mean, Kurt's got the scruff. They've all got the long, messy hair. All those things just kind of sum up that group in one picture. So that's what you're looking to do. What is it? You really have to do that analysis of who your artist is, what their personality is, and how we can get that to come across. And if that's something you're not good at, then don't be afraid to reach out to a professional photographer, or just a reputable photographer that you know of. And talk to them some about it and say, this is kind of what we're known as. This is what people like about our live show. This is my artist personality. How do we get that across in a visual format? So put a little bit of work into that. So now I'm going to show you guys some picture themes that are played out, and these specifically came from people that I talked to in the industry that see EPKs on a regular basis and see band and artist pictures on a regular basis, and they were like, if I never see one of these again, I'll be completely happy. So the first one that we're going to look at is the disinterested thing. So you see people that are, they're basically bored to be wherever they are. So you see this group of guys standing around in a parking lot, just wondering why they're all hanging out together in a parking lot in the middle of the night. Or you see this group of guys that are really just kind of bored, despite the fact they're all crammed into an alleyway in the middle of the night or whatever it is that's happening there. So try to avoid the disinterested looks. You want enthusiasm to come across. You want your artists, their energy to kind of project at you from the picture. So that's going to be really important. And disinterested pictures don't really allow for that. Another thing that people see commonly is where one guy is not looking at the camera for whatever reason. See if you can find him in each of these pictures. It's just one of those things that there's really no reason for it, but people do it all the time anyways. It's kind of obnoxious. It makes the person doing it seem a little bit obnoxious. Is the vibe I got from most people that I asked about this. So avoid that if you can. Tough guys. So first and foremost, let me tell you, I have worked. I am a musician myself. I've worked with a number of musicians in the industry. I can tell you that for the most part, most of those guys are not tough guys. There's just something about this line of work, regardless of how hard they try to come across that way. This line of work requires you to get in touch with your emotions and put that out for people to kind of connect with. So regardless of the facade that they're putting on, a lot of musicians just, or the bottom line is they're not actually tough guys. So, you can put on that facade if you want, but most people do see through that. So let's take a look. First, if you guys are coordinating your outfits, then how tough are you really? Unless you're a professional wrestler. Um, Next, if you have, if you went and got your hair straightened and highlighted before your photo shoot, then how tough are you really? So kind of keep that in mind. Again, it shows a lack of personality. It's very, run of the mill. Everybody takes pictures like this, so try to avoid that if you can. Next, this is the oh so literal front person in front thing. You saw this a lot with No Doubt. They did a whole video that kind of spoofed how photographers always wanted to put Gwen out front. So you see this a lot, and it's kind of a lack of creativity thing where it's, well, you're the front person, so let's put you in front. I don't know what else to do with you. I don't have any other good ideas. So here we go. It's also kind of demeaning to the band a little bit. And um, Oh, one thing, I don't typically use transitions in my presentations, but this one was too good to pass up. I usually find them a little bit distracting, but this one works pretty well for this group here. So you see, this picture actually is a little bit more creative. It shows this artist. It shows them. You get a feel for who they are in it. But again, front person in front. That's kind of why I included it there. The next one, fields. So remember that your artist is not wheat, and you're not corn, and you're not grass, and you're not whatever the hell is happening here. So it seems like a lot of artists are just like, we need a picture. Let's grab our camera and go out to the field behind our house, or go out to some empty field in the city and take a picture. It doesn't really make sense. It doesn't fit with their image, unless maybe you've got a country artist or something like that that's out there with tractors and whatever. That might make a little bit more sense. But for the most part, it's very just, we didn't have a better idea, so we went to a field and took a picture. And that definitely comes across, I think. Next, I don't know a ton of people that have ridden trains in their life anymore. Well, subways aside, but actually gotten on a real train and gone across the country. I definitely don't know of any artists that hang out at train stations regularly or write songs on a train. Yet for some reason, as soon as it's time to take a picture, where do we go? We go to the train tracks and we go hang out, in the middle of it. Oops, I didn't mean to go that quickly. But yeah, they go straight to the train tracks. So again, it just kind of screams, we don't have a better idea. It doesn't show any personality. So try to avoid that if you can. And you can actually find huge, I shouldn't say huge, but you can actually find whole websites dedicated to the brick wall band picture. So I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about here. Incredibly common, no creativity in this at all. Everybody does it. So I don't know why these Scottish guys kept popping up, but they seem to be in a lot of these pictures. But try to avoid that as well. So those are just kind of the your standard things that you want to try to avoid. Uh, So that's basically it. That's the majority of what I'm talking about. Just some highlights. Again, a lot of these are tips from people in the industry that I know or reached out to. So I hope you find that useful. I do think that an EPK, obviously it's a vital thing in the industry, and I think this is something that if you put it together well, you could actually use this to legitimately open some doors for you that maybe you wouldn't have been able to open before. So I hope you enjoy kind of putting this together and you get some use out of it. And if you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out to me. All right. Well, thank you for your time, and good luck. I look forward to taking a look at these.